For those who aren't familiar with CBA or Communication Business Avenue is a global systems integrator with expertise in cutting-edge technologies, including WebRTC and AI, to help our clients to provide the best customer experience. In today's webinar, our focus is on messaging. With over 1 million new social media users daily, this is a critical communication channel for organizations. Because when you think about it, that's 13.5 new users every single second. And that's why CBA is assisting our clients to engage and collaborate with this key audience. And that audience is estimated to explode to over 6 billion by 2027. Today, we're excited to have Roderick Barnard with us. He's an expert in messaging and a product manager at CBA. Rod has over 25 years of IT experience, including leading diverse technical teams spread across the globe. Rod, I have the pleasure of working with you on a daily basis and really appreciate your wealth of knowledge on this subject.
Thanks, Alan. It's really great to be here with you today.
To get us started, as we mentioned with those stats, it's no secret that the pandemic increased internet and social media use, but where are we now?
Yeah, we saw a big increase because of the pandemic, but according to the Global Web Index, social media use just continues to grow. So much so that the typical social media user actively uses or visits an average of 7 different social media platforms per month. And when they do that, they spend around 2.5 hours per day doing that. If you're getting the 7 or 8 hours of sleep you should be getting each day, that's about 15% of your waking life just using social media. And because people are already spending so much time using these apps to connect with family, to shop, to learn, and just share life, it's become a very natural way for them to want to connect with brands, and vice versa. Businesses today are turning to messaging engagements to meet their customers where they already are. Our partner LivePerson reported that in 2020 alone, over 5 trillion messages were sent through their conversational cloud.
Well, those are really impressive figures. And so maybe you could just expand a little bit more on why messaging has become so popular.
Yeah, well, of course, we saw the trend of newer generations preferring to text rather than pick up the phone, especially Gen Z and millennials. But now we see people choosing asynchronous messaging instead of chat for its convenience. They really want to be able to talk on their own time, and they want to be able to use a channel of their choosing. And they understand how asynchronous messaging works because they use it every day. They expect to see previous conversation history and have context for their conversations. So messaging engagements allow low friction, anytime communication for customers. And it's chosen generally because people don't really want to wait anymore. They actually get easily distracted. This has happened to me even when I've engaged with a chat agent at the bank. Perhaps I've waited too long for an answer to a question, or maybe I've been in the queue too long. And then I move on to do something else on my computer because I've gotten distracted. And when I come back, I see the chat's timed out. And then I've lost my conversation history. I don't know, I have to go through a whole chat queue again, perhaps talk to a bot, repeat the process, explain everything again just to speak to an agent. And by then I'm super frustrated.
Rod, I think we've all experienced that. You mentioned messaging engagement. Could you tell us what that is?
Sure, Alan. I think probably what's best to do is to compare it with chat engagement so that we can understand it better. You see, live chat is typically a one-to-one real-time conversation that is session-based and synchronous. So what I mean by synchronous, it means that both the agent and the consumer have to be online to converse at the same time. Live chats are also session-based because they have a definite start and conclusion, and there's no conversation history that persists between those chats. Messaging engagements, on the other hand, are the next natural evolution of this. In addition to being able to converse live and in real time, messaging engagements allow for the same kind of asynchronous conversations that people are having every day on social media. Asynchronous messaging can be understood as conversations that start and stop when convenient for the participants. They can happen in real time if that's desired. But much like an exchange on WhatsApp or an Instagram direct message, You can pop your phone in your back pocket and pick up where you left off later without losing any context or history of that conversation. That could be 5 minutes later, an hour, a week, or even much later. And as a customer service solution, messaging engagements also include richer features, things like GIFs, file sharing, and some automations, depending on the chosen channel and what it supports. Now, while live chat had some of these capabilities, it was very limited.
So with asynchronous messaging, how does that work? Let's say that I'm using chat now with LAD365. How do I go about getting async messaging working?
Well, it's actually very easy because they work in much the same way from a campaign planning and engagement point of view. Just how chat engagements can be embedded into web pages or into your app using an engagement tag, you'd use the same engagement tag to embed a messaging engagement. So you build it the same way you do with the campaign manager. You can use the same behavior, time, and location targeting options that you're used to using. But to take it a step further, we've also got additional connectors for all of the popular social networking services, as well as SMS. So that means that you can leverage the already built-in messaging features of someone's phone, or even the app that's already installed for their social networking provider. So consumers don't need to add another app just to connect with you. A consumer can still leave a message, and that can be picked up at any time when the agent is free later. So as we mentioned, unlike chats, which happen once in real time and have no history, conversations in messaging persist. So messaging engagements really extend chat with more flexibility. You really have the best of both worlds. You can have live chat, and we can also support ongoing, persistent conversations.
Maybe you could share what advantages you're seeing brands experiencing by implementing messaging.
Yeah, there are several, Alan. Probably most notably is the boost in agent efficiency, because now an agent can actually handle way more conversations at once, because the expectations for asynchronous messaging are very different to live chat. It means that consumers can also get service quicker this way because the agent's freed up. Instead of having to wait for a chat to close before answering the next message, he can handle multiple asynchronous channels. What is really beneficial too is the full conversation history. Your agents get context, and so do consumers, and they're used to already seeing this in the platforms that they use for social networking. This includes things like past questions that may have been asked or actions that have been taken. And for a customer, it means they don't need to repeat or re-identify themselves. And then the agent doesn't waste time collecting the same information again, or perhaps suggesting the same solution that didn't work last time. Consumers that come in from social messaging platforms are also already authenticated by that platform. So a returning customer is automatically identified and linked in your CRM. So all of this leads to a greater customer satisfaction, better resolution rates, and just a better overall customer journey. One thing that's also important is the ability now to prioritize those queues. So consumers don't need to wait by the phone or by the screen for a chat. And this allows a brand to have some flexibility in choosing which conversations should be handled first. We also see an increase in sales opportunities. You can create an ongoing connection with customers and prospects that gives you a better customer lifetime value. And for brands, it means that we can even proactively connect with customers now. So even if they're not online at that point, you can send an outbound message via an agent or a bot and initiate communication from your side.
That all sounds really good, Rod. There's some real significant advantages to moving to messaging. Could you share with us what the future is for messaging?
Yeah, sure, Alan. Let me give you a look at what our roadmap has been for 2022, and I'll give you an idea of what we've worked on and how far we've come. So as you can see, for 2022, the thrust of our work this year has been around messaging and conversational AI. So just to show you what we've been working on in the first half of the year, I'll talk a little bit more about each one of these, but we've been working at releasing messaging in preview, which is available now for early adopters. And this includes a new agent widget to handle messaging conversations, and also some supervisor tools to help managers to see what's happening in the queues for messaging. But more excitingly are the new conversational AI features that we've embedded and included in our package. So we'll explain these a little bit in more detail as we move on to the next slides. And towards the end of this half of the year, we're going to be working on delivering messaging in general availability for our customers and also offering some consulting services. So just taking a look at what's actually been accomplished at this point. The preview release of messaging is early access, like I mentioned, but we have now availability of the SMS and social messaging channel connectors. We have this new widget that allows multiple conversations to happen and also allows agents to go back into previous conversation history and resume conversations, as we mentioned, in much the same way that social networks do that. The same kinds of features that you're used to seeing in Dynamics, with having your message data integrated into Dynamics and metadata of those conversations, is also supported. And we're working to support the USD desktop client too. And as we mentioned, all of this needs new dashboards for managers to see what their messaging queues look like. And so we do have dedicated manager workspaces for messaging agent managers. But probably one of the most exciting things that we've introduced now is some conversational AI features. And this comes in the form of two big key items. The one is Conversation Builder, which is essentially a GUI-based bot builder. That means in no code if you want, or very low code, and you can build a custom bot. It means that anybody who wants to build a bot can do so without any previous experience. And these bots can be customized to be pre-conversation survey bots or post-conversation survey bots. And we also support integration with some of the large bot providers like Microsoft out there. Another really killer feature is this thing called Intent Manager. So normally when we have bots responding to keywords, it can be a little bit clunky, but with natural language understanding, the bot has the ability to detect the intent behind a phrase that a customer has written out in the chat or in the conversation that they've had. Perhaps they want to close their account and they've typed it slightly differently, and a bot that's just picking up keywords might miss that. But with Intent Manager, it's a model that you can train and help it to continue to learn so that it gets more and more effective at detecting customer intents. And once you've detected what it is that the customer wants, now you have a powerful way to create an intent-driven experience, something that could be automated or could involve a human agent if you want. So all of these have been really available in preview from now. We're hoping to bring all of that into general availability soon, next quarter early, and we'll continue to help new customers onboard to messaging. Of course, chat engagements aren't going away at this point, so we will carry on supporting them. And we're going to continue improving our mobile app support for messaging and to bring, as we mentioned, proactive messaging to the table to allow you to reach out to your existing customers. We also realize that some brands would like to really push forward with bot building and intent tuning. And so we have consulting services available for you where you can have a professional help you build a bot and help you tune your intents to give you the best use out of some of those new conversational AI features. So that's just a little bit about what we've been working on so far in Q3 and what we're going to deliver soon in Q4. And we hope that you're all going to enjoy that.
Well, that was just excellent, really informative. We really appreciate you, Rod, sharing that valuable insight today and your expertise, and we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Evan.
So for our viewers, messaging, as was mentioned, is now available in preview for LAD365. And next quarter, we will have general availability. You can reach out to CBA Sales, and more information is available, and even customized solution for your organization. Thank you very much for watching this webinar.